Have you ever watched The Queen's Gambit? You know, Beth Harmon. Brilliant chess player, but definitely not invincible. She goes on a hot winning streak, and just when you think she's unbeatable, bam! Along comes Burgov to remind her, and us, being good does not mean you are untouchable. And that's pretty much how I felt at the end of my final IPDA debate tournaments. Welcome back to the Authentalk Public Speaking Podcast. I'm Iain Lampert, your public speaking professional, and this is episode 12, the International Public Debate Association, Part 4. Let me paint a picture for you. I was on a roll, winning contest after contest. I felt like the Beth Harmon of debate, minus the tranquilizers, and with slightly longer hair. But like Beth, I had a couple Burgov moments. I'd like to share those losses with you. In the final preliminary round of a tournament in Dallas, my opponent and I were guaranteed to advance. So I decided to coast a little, and I picked a topic about the IPDA League itself. Why not? I'd lost on those topics at the first tournaments, but it had been working since then. The topic was whether or not the IPDA was suffering from a lack of depth. So I thought, let's talk about whether IPDA debaters should start exploring other leagues like I was exploring this one. But here's the thing. Proving that a debate league is suffering in front of people from the league who are having a good time with it is like trying to prove that pineapple belongs on pizza to a group of people who are allergic to pineapple. I was up against two big challenges. First, arguing that IPDA was not deep enough. And second, prove that this was the direct cause of the league's suffering. These are two self-inflicted wounds when you're arguing in front of staunch advocates of the league. The communication lesson is meet your audience where they are. Let's go down to my last tournament of the season in Louisiana. I managed to lose one last prelim about the best ways to watch Star Wars. I suggested some non-traditional viewing orders, like skipping the not-so-great films or trying out this roundabout Rey order. But my opponent, who argued for the classic release order, won the day. He was probably right. If you're gonna watch all the Star Wars films, and I foolishly conceded that we had to watch all the Star Wars films on either side of the resolution, you probably should watch them in release order. Lesson learned. Sometimes the traditional path is the correct one. So before we wrap up my journey through my IPDA losses, let's talk about the 4 big lessons I've learned and summarize these last 4 episodes. First, I learned to take more risks. Because if you're comfortable, you're not growing. Communicators need to push ourselves into uncomfortable terrain. Trying a new debate format might be like trying a new chess opening. Scary at first, but that's where the magic happens. I took a lot of risks within the format. I didn't stay behind a podium. No, I walked around the classroom. I didn't remain serious and stern. I was conversational, laid back, hand in my pocket, putting on different voices and impressions, bringing in tactics from formats like mock trial, alien to these judges, and some of them didn't like it. And others thought it was kind of cool. So next time you're prepping a speech or getting ready for a presentation, ask yourself, am I playing this safe because I'm scared? Or do I have the gumption to go for the gambit? Second, I learned to accept more losses. It's easy to hide in our comfort zones, where we can't really be judged, like a professor who ignores all their student evaluations. But stepping outside that bubble is where real growth happened for me. As long as a loss doesn't have a catastrophic real-world impact, like a debate about Star Wars release order, it's okay to embrace it. Finland has an amazing tradition. Every October, a national day of failure. The students that founded it reasoned, Finland needs new businesses. These new businesses need to innovate and take on risk. But too many Finns were afraid of messing up. So if we celebrate making these mistakes, they become a normal part of life. And we're not condemned to believe that a single screw-up defines us. Third, I learned to prepare and study more. As I was prepping for IPDA, I realized there were a bunch of topics that came my way that I wouldn't know the first thing to discuss. So I made well over 200 pages of notes. I was like a Hermione Granger of debate prep. But all the work paid off because it meant I was ready for just about any topic they threw at me. And that's true for any sort of spontaneous communication. Limited preparation is only as limited as the amount of preparation time you put in before the competition even begins. You don't have 2 minutes prep or 30 minutes. You have as many weeks as you decide to start preparing in advance. The more you know, the more you can adapt on the fly, the less likely you are to be caught off guard. Fourth lesson. I learned to make more friends. Beth Harmon goes for it alone for a lot of the Queen's Gambit. But that's not how IPDA works. You're allowed to prep with anyone you want. So as debaters are eliminated from the contest, they stick around and help prepare the debaters who are still in, writing out their contentions, researching what their opponents might say, generally being supportive. I entered this tournament series as the sole Wisconsinite, but by the time I was preparing for the last round of my last tournament, it felt like the ending of Baldur's Gate 3, surrounded by allies and party members who took time out of their day to help me debate about United States military expansion in the Arctic. Before we close, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the IPDA community. You showed me so much kindness and accepted an outsider with open arms. You cheered me on, encouraged me, became my friends. If IPDA was a chess game, you would be my knights. Unexpected at first, but reliable. And always ready to help me out of a tough spot, because I'd be like a pawn, slowly advancing across the board. Thank you to everyone who was there for me at the very end. Lindsay and Keithan and Chris and Leslie, teams from Lee and LSUS and SMU and Union, and everyone else from ACU to DBU to MSU. I don't normally come back for seconds after I glide into the sunset, but now, as I take on an additional role as a professor of management at a local liberal arts college, I'm thinking about starting an IPDA team of my own. Who knows? Maybe next semester, I'll be back with a group of young debaters who are eager to learn from debate, and especially from defeat. And who knows? Maybe we'll find our own Beth Harmon among them. Like Beth says, chess is not always competitive. Chess can also be beautiful. So, too, can communication contests. Thank you for tuning in to the Authentalk Public Speaking Podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please share, leave a review, drop me a comment about what you'd like to hear next. Always open to suggestions, unless it's about watching Star Wars in release order, because I think we've covered that one. Like always, I'm Iain Lampert, your public speaking professional.